Social media writers, welcome to week 9. This week, we're going to be talking about how to create your own social media graphics and the importance of visual elements to the success of your social media content. As you probably know from your own experience, social media is inherently visual. You need to get people to stop scrolling and pay attention, and without a visual element, you just can't do that. So your text that you write in the posts, which we talked a little bit about in week 5, and your visuals need to work together. All right, so we're going to start with some really simple stuff, literally just photography and text with photography. Uh, in the section that I've given you to read this week from our textbook, uh, Andy Crestodina says that you should put people pictures on every post. Now, he's talking about blog posts, but he also means social media posts because, as you would imagine from the word social, people are attracted to anything that features other people. They're immediately drawn to it. It humanizes whatever you're talking about. And I think it's crazy uh, when you look at the examples that he gives you in the book of how even the direction that you have the person facing and where they are in relationship to the text can increase or decrease your ability to sell people or get people to take the action that you want them to take. So pay close attention to that. By the way, yes, while people are maybe your number one choice, speaking as somebody who works for a park, animals in nature also work great too. People love the cute animal posts, they're very drawn to them. We also get a lot of mileage off of gorgeous natural landscapes and highly detailed nature photos. So, photography, more than clip art, more than just about any other kind of image you can create, is the number one draw to get people to pay attention to your social media posts. So ideally, you're going to work with your organization's own photos if you possibly can. You can take them yourselves. I mean, as you know, the iPhones today, they take fantastic photos, almost as good as any digital camera that you could go out there and buy. Uh, so you can wander around and take them yourself. And because social media is a more casual environment, uh, frequently those kinds of candid, spontaneous shots are what people like the best. However, there may be occasions where you want to hire a photographer, particularly if you want absolutely gorgeous pictures. I'm going to share with you an example because we actually hire a photographer to do special events for us at Wildwood. And when you look at this picture, you're going to understand why. Okay, so here's this gorgeous picture of people dancing around on stage. And what's amazing about this is notice that the lighting around them is in these kind of red tones. Every single one of them is moving. And yet, when this image is captured, every single one of them is crystal clear. You don't see any blurring. You don't see any weirdnesses created by the red light. My friends, I will pay this guy every single time. He only charges us $400 a session because he gives us a discount because we're a nonprofit. But seriously, I would pay him that and more every single time to get me a shot like this. No matter how many times I point my phone at this stage, I cannot get photos this quality. But if I want to convey to people why a show is exciting enough that they should come see it, this is the kind of photography I need to do it. And notice, of course, all the people. The fact that there are a ton of people in this photo makes it more likely that people are going to tag each other, share it, all their family's going to want to see it, all their friends are going to want to see it. This is social media gold right here. Okay, so, but what if your organization doesn't have a lot of photos? Or what if you're writing about a topic that they don't have photos for? What if you can't afford to hire a photographer? Stock photography that you can get online is better than nothing. Crestodina points out that it's a little fake, and that's true. Uh, but still, it would be better to use stock photography that's good quality uh, than to use poor quality images, for example, or to use no image at all, which would be deadly. One thing that's really important, though, if you go looking for images online, you need to make sure that you have the legal rights to use those images. You cannot just go do a Google image search and download any photo that you want. Those photos are copyrighted. Many big companies like Disney, Coca-Cola, like any big corporation, has bots that surf looking for examples of their stolen imagery. It actually happened right here in Arkansas, where a former student was creating a manual. She worked for a hospital and she borrowed some photos from another hospital in town and put them on their website. And they were hit with a cease and desist letter so fast, she could have lost her job over it. And she didn't even really mean to do it. Her boss put them up, even though she had warned her boss that she shouldn't do it. It's really, really serious. Please, please do not go stealing images. So, to help you not steal images and keep yourself and your organization out of trouble, there are a couple of resources in the course shell this week that will help you. Number one, there is a video that will show you how to do Google image searches using the usage rights tool, which lets you find out which photos are published under a Creative Commons license, which gives you either carte blanche to use them or lets you use them under limited circumstances. Now, understand, you are responsible to read the license and find out, do you have to give credit to the original photographer? Are you allowed to modify it? You are responsible for using it the way that the license said, or you're still in potential danger. Uh, but the other way too is that there are plenty of websites today that will let you go to them. You create a free account with them, and they'll let you have a certain number of downloads. So I put an article in there that links to many of the most reputable sites right now. I myself really like Pexels and Pixabay as free sites go. They have a pretty good library. It's reasonably easy to search. I find some good stuff there. But I'll also tell you that in my experience, you can go down a real rabbit hole looking for the right image for your post or for your social media project. And to help with some of that, I did finally shell out $30 a month to get a paid membership to stockadobe.com. It has both artist created images and AI created images, and many of them are formatted specifically for social media applications. So they have space on them where you can easily put text, for example, if you need it. And they're all extremely high quality and they work well for print and they work well for offline. So eventually UALR shelled out for us to get these licenses and I don't have to pay for it myself anymore. But it was worth it to me when I did pay for it myself. The time it saved me alone was 100% worth it. So, as kind of an aside to you, if you ever do get hired into an organization that wants you to produce a lot of social media content, one thing I would recommend is that you ask them about what kinds of tools and licenses they're able to provide you. Are they going to pay for you to have access to an image library? What kind of an image library does their organization already have? Do they have budget for you to hire a photographer? Do they have a photographer in-house? You need to know all these things because that will give you a sense of how easy it's going to be for you to put together stuff that is the kind of quality that you want to represent your organization and your personal work. Uh, but what if you need not just a photo, but you need text? And you may ask yourself, well, why wouldn't I just put the image and then put the text in my post text? Well, the problem is, right, is that the post text is so much smaller. Many people don't read the post text at all. So if you have no text on the image, sometimes they don't read it and they're like, wow, that's a really pretty picture, and they scroll right on past. So sometimes you need something that combines text and images, and I'll show you an example. Let me switch over here and share my screen. Okay, so here's an example of a graphic I designed that is actually going to publish on Wildwood's Facebook page this coming Thursday. And it combines text and images. And I've designed it very specifically this way. So I created this square. I designed this in Adobe InDesign. I inserted this photo of the wines, and I inserted it the way that I did because I want it to be as big as possible. I want it to be visually immediately arresting. So that bright green as bright draws the eye right away. Then you start looking at the food and look at how beautiful the wine shines. That's what we want because this is a very upscale event. These tickets cost $100 to $150 a pop, so we need them to appeal to a very upscale audience. And then over here, I created a blank space and I took the color from the wine and used it to create the color that's in the panel over here. And then notice that if I have a dark color in the background of my panel, then I need to use bright text on top of it to create enough visual contrast. This is really important because if you use light text on too light a background or dark text on too dark a background, can't be seen at all. And remember, many people are going to be seeing this graphic on their phones. It's going to be way tinier than what I'm sharing with you here. So I need the information to pop. Another thing that I want you to notice is the spacing and the different sizes that I'm using, because this is extremely important to make it possible for it not to look clumpy and cluttered. So notice that the very most important thing on this whole graphic is the name of the event. I make it the biggest thing. Wildwood Park is a little bit smaller than Toast and Taste because the event itself is more important. Then notice that I'm kind of alternating the white text with the kind of champagne colored text to create contrast so that people see different blocks of information. So notice that I've got in the brightest text possible the date of the event and what time it is, and the two different entries. Then a little bit of information about the event. Notice I've switched fonts here. So I've chosen a strong, thick, by the way. Thick is super important in social media because if your text is too thin, it disappears. So I'm looking for a big, thick, sturdy looking serif text that looks kind of bankery for the event since I want donors to be attracted by this. And then something kind of light and still extremely legible for the information about it's a wine and food event. Here's the music that's going to be provided. And then switch back to the serif for here's where you get the tickets. And then, of course, very important, the logo of the organization, which builds credibility and reminds people who this is for. This is a very minor detail, but still important. See the little lines that I used. I initially just typed all this text right on the wine colored background. And even though I've tried to create, see there's space there, there's space there, there's space there. Even though I've tried to create spaces to group items, I needed these little lines to kind of break apart some pieces of the information because otherwise it still ended up looking like a lot of text. All right, so that's technique number one. You put the photo on one side, you make a blank space for the text, and then you pick very legible typefaces and colors to put on top of whatever that background is. Lots of spacing, make it easy to read, make the important information really big. Okay, but what if you have this really gorgeous photo and you need to actually put the text on top of the photo? This is, I think, one of the most challenging types of graphic to create, mainly because when you're working with photos, finding a place to put the text where the text will still be readable is challenging. Like if you have areas of light and dark, if you put a light text on it, it disappears at points. If you put a dark text on it, it disappears at points. It can be really tough to get text on a photo to look really good. And this is another reason that I'm willing to pay that photographer $400 a session to come out and do things, because I'm going to show you here in a sec what he does for me that makes him so worthwhile. So going back to High School Musical, uh, let me show you some of the photos that he took at the event. Okay, so here's a photo of Jason Jackson, who's the actor who plays Troy Bolton in our production. And look at how Matthew has set up this photo to be perfect for what I need. Look at all this space that he's put over on the left-hand side where I can put text in here for our readers while still leaving this gorgeous photo of Jason, who's extremely passionate and into the role, in a place where it can shine. Okay. So, and it's not just this photo. If this was no accident, take a look at the next one. There's Ashlyn Guzman, who plays Gabriella. And again, he's left me lots of space over here to put text if I want to. Here's another one of Jason. Here's another one of Ashlyn. Here's one of Coach Bolton. So you see the consistent pattern here. A really good photographer can set up these kinds of shots for you if he knows how you're going to use them. Okay, so now let me show you how I put text over the top of these. Okay, so here is another one of Matthew's photos. This was, again, actually taken while the show was going on. He captures this gorgeous picture of Mallory and Isaac playing Sharpay and Ryan with the boombox and the pink outfits. And this is all this blue, the Wildcats thing in the background, this red block over here, that's all the set, okay? So because he's done this, he's made it really easy for me to come in here and use the Disney approved logo for the show. So I pop that in here almost like it was a banner hanging from the set. You almost wouldn't know that it wasn't there the whole time. And then on this red panel here that he's left blank for me, I can use bright white text, which works perfectly because red and white are the Wildcat colors, and the white pops out really clearly against the red in a way that, say, a black would not. And this is where I put my key information. So I need people to know when the shows are so that they can figure out when they can come to the show. So I tell them, here are the evening shows that are at 7:30 p.m. Notice we've got a sing-along performance. I make sure and note that. Here are the matinee shows that are going to be in the afternoon. And then this is something that I started adding more frequently. I could not believe the number of comments I would get on social media posts asking me where the park was. And I was like, seriously, you all can Google where the park is. But the lesson for me was they don't want to Google where the park is. They want to know immediately. So that's another reason that you put the text on the graphic. They don't want to do any extra effort to figure that out. So I started putting the address on, making sure that they know that it's in Little Rock, and then where they can get the tickets. Now, there's going to be a link button that I add to this where they can click and go to it, but I'm still going to put that information there just in case. All right, so the lessons I want you to take away here is you got to put backgrounds behind things so that the text can pop. Look for photos that do this. So I told you, that I bought the stock.adobe.com $30 a month license. It's because they have a lot of photos like this. They make my job very easy. Now, there are other tricks you can do. Like if you're experienced in something like InDesign or Canva or Photoshop, you can make a translucent box where it's kind of opaque, and I could slide like a red box or a dark box behind that if I needed to get some extra contrast. But that takes extra time and it makes you do extra work. So if you can work with high quality photos to begin with and then use the principles of contrast to make sure that your text shows up and is legible, so much the better. So by the way, this information about which colors to use and which fonts to use and how to do the line spacing and so forth, we're only going to get to touch on that a little bit in this class because we're really focused on social media. But if you would like to know more about those kinds of things and you have not already taken the rhetoric and writing class called Document Design. I am offering that class in the spring. So if you enjoy this class and you haven't taken that one already, you might really enjoy that class as well, because we will spend the whole class talking about how to make things look their very, very best. Um, okay, so let's flash ahead to where we're going. Uh, Next week, I will have some details ready for you about Project 3, which is due November 11th. And this is where you're going to propose to me what you want to create for your final project. And then we'll spend the content of next week talking about, once you've put all the effort into making these graphics look as beautiful as you possibly can on your computer screen, how do you make sure that they look as good in the social media feed as they did when you designed it? I have some tricks and tips to share with you, and then we'll make all that gorgeous work shine the way it should. Your participation assignment for this week is actually to create some social media graphics. I've got some quotes that you can turn into quote graphics, and your job is going to be to find an image that goes with that quote graphic, and then to figure out how to get that image and the text to work together. I'm very excited to see your experiments, and I will see you again next week. Take good care. Bye-bye.